This is the untold story of civilians murdered by an African dictator in the advent of a serious threat to his autocratic leadership style. At this point in time, a darker crowd drew over the entire nation. The prevailing social, economic, and political challenges would later spark off unimaginable acts of terror of dissenting voices. The nation would be in a very serious turmoil, more so when a young, energetic, and charismatic leader joined the nation's political scene. This is Bobiwine. Bobiwine would flip the script of the country's politics, uniting the biggest proportion of her population, the youth, whom all of a sudden would pick up interest in matters concerning their country, to end the 36 years of dictatorship, and most importantly, to revamp and redirect the country back to the right path. This development, however, would not impress the dictator himself. On the left, massive illegal arrests, imprisonment, torture, and abductions of people power supporters would headline the country's media outlets. To cut Bobiwine's speed and instill hopelessness and fear in citizens, security agencies on orders of the state would go the extra mile to murder hundreds of innocent citizens in cold blood. And today, I am going to profile cases of murder committed at the hands of the Museveni security forces in Uganda. In Nakawa, a Kampala suburb, it is the 24th of February 2020. The time is around 8 a.m. Ritah Nabukenya, 24 years of age, adorned in a people power attire, seated on a border heading to the Buganda Road Court, where his leader, Bobiwine, had a court appearance on disputing social media taxes, would be trailed by a police patrol number UP4841 for reasons best known to police. This mother of two, according to the eyewitness, was run over and killed by the police truck and in the full glare of CCTV cameras. The demands for CCTV footage of the incident yielded nothing. A few days later, the police spokesperson would come out to say that the CCTV cameras were not operational at the time of the incident. Nabukenya was laid to rest on February 25, 2020. The death of this young girl would leave big scars on very many hearts of Ugandans to date.
Okitegera kubanga ne banazita tubagenda kukyusa ndowooza y'abana Uganda basigaddeyo okitegera ne banakutta ne batono omulala agenda kujja ate ayogere ku nsonga emu ng'agiyimiriddeko. So tulina okulemera ku mazima nga tugayimiriddeko ate nze nnyongera okunga abakyala monna gye muli mu ggwanga lyonna bananga abakyala muveeyo abakyala singa ffenna tukuŋŋaana awamu tusobola okutwala Bosco wadde okimanya ekyo.
The evening of 25th February 2020 would find Bobiwine and his team heading back home after the burial of Ritah Nabukenya, with thousands of young people lining the roads of various towns they passed through to express solidarity with Bobiwine. At around 7:30 p.m. in Nansana town, these young people waiting to see and wave at Bobiwine would meet resistance from members of security operatives, including the police as well as elements of the local defense unit, which would then open fire with live rounds on the crowds and seemingly oblivious to the CCTV cameras installed in the area. Daniel Kyeyune, aged 33, would then be shot through the eye and die instantly, including at least 2 with severe gunshot injuries.
The tragedy has occurred in Nansana here, and an LGU person has shot right in the eye one of Bobiwine supporters who was waiting for him just to wave at him and say hello, just to wait and say bye-bye. And the eventual death, you see, as people try to gather here, They are all mourning, and we would like to tell you that this is a real tragedy here in Nansana at Mastowa, at Bank of Africa. That's where the gentleman has been shot right in the eye and killed.
Police would again claim that the CCTV footage of the incident was unavailable. The same police would later inform the nation that Daniel Kyeyune was shot by an unknown person with a pistol. Contradicting stories followed this shooting. 1 week later, the leadership of the People Power movement had already obtained the footage and more information from some patriotic police officers on condition of anonymity. In the footage, a security personnel attached to the police, identified as Faizo Kakoza, is captured vividly shooting at Daniel Kyeyune, who would die instantly. To date, the Museveni regime has not done anything, not even investigating this murder. On the 19th of January 2020, residents of Adekoko sub-county, Lila district would discover a body dumped at Ochukura village with hands tied and bearing visible torture marks. This would then be identified as Bonny Omara, the People Power Youth Coordinator for Amorata district, northern Uganda, who was kidnapped and had been missing for more than a week. Before joining the People Power movement, Mr. Omara was a staunch cadre of the NRM party and a member of the NRM National Council. At the time of his torture and murder, he had been mobilizing and establishing people power structures in Amorata. The Museveni regime swept the investigation into this murder under the carpet. In this video, captured on the 30th of September 2019 by Atulinda Alan, a BBC correspondent, this harmless citizen is seen battered by those who are supposed to protect him. The cold, brutal men beat him so much until he started bleeding from the head and ears. They then would leave him bleeding and go for other targets. This is Ssewankambo Hannington, commonly known as Sweet Peps. And this is the Uganda military doing this on him for simply joining other Ugandans to express solidarity with Bobiwine and the People Power movement during the Free Bobiwine campaigns. Atulinda Alan, the BBC correspondent, would then be seen bandaging the head of Hannington that was passing a lot of blood. These merciless beatings, according to the hospital reports, would later cause permanent damage to the internal body organs of Ssewankambo Hannington, who would later pass away on the 31st of October 2019. It is very painful that he died without seeing any of those who violated him brought to justice. And to date, the Museveni regime has not done anything, not even conducting an investigation. For Hannington Ssewankambo, the beatings that damaged his organs and eventually led to his death were administered by soldiers who were captured live on camera. This is Michael Kalinda, best known in the music industry as Bobiwine, a close associate of Bobiwine, as the two also belonged to the same musical label, Firebase. Amidst threatening messages, Bobiwine would still devote most of his time to the People Power movement until his kidnap on the 21st of July 2019. A week later, he would be found dumped by unknown people at the entrance of Mulago Hospital with his left eye plucked out, 2 of his fingers cut off, and parts of his body burnt with what seemed to be a flat iron. According to his family, in much pain, he narrated to them about his torture. On the 4th of August 2019, he breathed his last. In its first statement on the 5th of August 2019, police confirmed the injuries, pointing to straightforward case of murder. However, after a few hours on the 6th of August 2019, the same police would say Bobiwine wasn't kidnapped but rather died of an accident, parading a speeding Honda Sports motorcycle. The leadership of the People Power movement and the entire public would mount pressure on the police to release the CCTV footage of the accident. After 3 weeks of brainstorming, police would then respond to the public by releasing the CCTV footage. However, the footage released would contradict in terms of timestamps. A critical review of that video would still reveal a woman on a border, yet Bobiwine was a man. To watch the police CCTV footage, click on the link in the description below.